Hello, everyone. I believe that we're all great. Oh, Paula, welcome. So once again, I welcome you to our first Sunday lecture series. And the title, the theme for the entire lecture in this series is God's creative word. That's the theme for our lectures in this series. And this is going to have six lectures starting from today, March 26th, until April 30th. They'll be having all six lectures on Sundays, just the same time. And I think this time is convenient for most people across the world. And in case you are not able to catch it live, or even if you do, but you would like to have the replay for this series are going to be made available on the group. So now let's get into our lesson today, which is God's creative word, and establish the lessons that we'll be having about God's creative word today. So, well, maybe not all of us would have known that God's creative word is personified as Jesus, but that is what it is. God's creative word is personified as Jesus. And this is the passage that is showing us not only that, but also showing us who or what God's creative word really is. So, God's creative word is God Himself. That's from the book of John, and I'm using Revised Standard Version here. So, the book of John 1, verse 1, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. The Word was with God, the Word was God." That's John chapter 1, verse 1. All right. And it carries on to tell us that the Word was life, and the life was the light of man. So, in the Word was life, and this life was the light of man. And this light shines in darkness, the darkness doesn't comprehend it. But when you consider these words, you begin to see that the word of God that is being spoken about, that is the same as God, has a direct connection with men. This is the light of men. So you're a man, and I'm man. All right, we're talking about generic man here. We're not talking about males or females. No, that's not what we're discussing. We're talking about you as an individual being. All right, that is what the Bible means when it says man. All right, well, at least in this context, man, generic individual, that is an individual being, an independent being. Okay, and the light of you is the creative word of God. And that light of you is the same as God. That's right from this passage itself. But it doesn't mean that this is the thing that is shining light on you. It's saying that this is the light that belongs to you. All right. So if I say, this is the phone from China, that means this is the phone that is of China. All right. The phone of China, it actually means this is the phone coming from China that belongs to China. All right, it doesn't mean the phone that is given to China. If you understand what I'm saying here, okay? So the light of man actually means the light that is possessed by man, that belongs to man, that is man's own light. And whatever makes manifest is light, according to scriptures also. Whatever makes anything manifest is light. If you're in a room and the room is dark, then suddenly someone comes with a flashlight. That flashlight is not of the room. It is of that person. But it is making whatever is in the room become manifest. So if you understand the context of what I've just given us as an analogy, then we will also get the meaning of these words. In the word of God was life, and the life was the light of men. That means wherever man is present, that light is present there. It brings the light in, and then that light illuminates everything. It makes things in that experience become manifest. That's the lesson That's the message that this place is passing to us. It's not passing to us that we need some external light or that humanity needs some human being, one man that was born 2000 years ago to become the light to save man. That's not what it is saying. It is saying that you, right where you are, you're actually carrying this light with you. It's your light. So when you enter into an experience, an environment, or actually to put it in the appropriate terms, when you enter into a state of consciousness, you're taking that light that you are, that you have, you're taking it there and you're shining it there. So you are the light of the world. And I'm saying you are literally. It is quite true that you are the light of the world. I'm not speculating it, I have experienced it. So you are the light of the world, and your light, that is the light of men, your light is the light that is contained in the word of God. So wherever you are, whatever you become aware of, you're illuminating it. So I'll repeat the analogy. Someone is in a dark room, all right, and it's dark all the way. And then a man comes in with light, with a flashlight. So he shines the flashlight into the room, and now people can see. But the man who comes in with a light, you would say, that is the light of that man. Oh, who brought the light? Well, that man. So which light is this that is glowing? Well, the light of that man. So your light is illuminating the world. As Neville often puts it, the whole world is a world of death, and you are here animating it and illuminating it. You're making it alive by your awareness of being. If you quit this plane of existence, nothing in this world will continue. It all ceases to be. And so your awareness is maintaining the order that you see in the world everywhere, including what you have for breakfast, what you have for dinner, who you meet, who you encounter, and who they encounter, is that you get to know the encounter. Everything that you are aware of is manifested by you because you are the light of it. And that's not all. You are also the word. Because we have in the beginning was the word was with God, the word was God. Then you come to John 1, verse 14, and it says that the word became flesh. All right. And then before you even think, oh, yeah, the word became flesh, like became one being that was born. No, it became flesh. That is, it exists as flesh. You will see this word became shortly in another context. It exists as flesh. Not that it was born into flesh. Do we see that? So the word exists as flesh and dwells. Well, the translators, if you read that passage in your Bible, they would put it as dwelt among. All right. But if you have any dictionary to help you with the Greek, with the original translation, you would see that the word that is written as among there actually stands for in, within, dwells within us. So the word is not some one human being. It's not like maybe one Jesus, a single person out of all the countless billions on earth, then was born of a virgin. No, that's not it. You are he who became flesh, and this word is dwelling in you. And if you can't conceive it that way, then you can't conceive it any other way. This passage is telling us that we must identify once and for all, we must identify that God and man are one and the same, that you and God are one, and that your word is God's creative word, and that that word is the life that you are. That when you speak, you are actually first pronouncing your awareness of being. And I'm not saying when you speak on your lips, I'm saying when you speak in your consciousness, as we would soon say soon. When you speak in your consciousness, you're first declaring your awareness of being. So the light that is becoming aware of a section of reality, a section of consciousness is you. The word that is bringing all that is existing into place is you. The word became flesh or exists as flesh and dwells in us. So when I'm addressing you, I could address you as Alice, I could address you as Jane, I could address you as John or Matthew, I could address you as the name that you were Christian right from your birth. But if I truly want to address you by your true identity, then I would call you God. If anyone in this world knows who you truly are, and I want to address you as your true identity, they would call you God. They would call you light. They'd call you life. They'd call you awareness. They'd call you the I amness of man, because that's who you truly are. Man is God's creative word. And so all creation is made by this word or by the idea. So we've read at first, we've just seen this section now, and then we see it more closely. In the beginning was the Word, which was with God, and the Word was God. It was in the beginning with God. And oftentimes when we think of these words in the beginning, well, personally, when I first came across these words, I always thought it meant like the start of time. But that's not what it is saying at all. We shall see what it is saying soon, but this is not about the start of time. But all things are made through this word, and there is nothing that is made that isn't made with this word. So without him was not anything made that was made. And it's not saying without it, it's saying without him. Which is again to remind us that we're talking about the individual being. Remember, we've said anytime you come across the word man, in this context, in any of my writing, I'm not talking about a human being male. I'm talking about the individual being you. That's who you are in the depth of your consciousness, an individual being. So without him was not anything made that was made. You see, the question is, do we really believe these words? Yeah, it's in scriptures and people debate it, and it's put into thousands of translations and printed in millions of copies every day, every week, every month, and so much selling. And people preach it on the pulpits every time. And people say it, debate it, contradict it, or try to justify it, or whatever. But all of that doesn't amount to anything except a person who's believing it is living by it. That is the only true test of any idea. Live by it and see if it works, if it proves itself in performance. So how do you prove these words that have been here, that have been enumerated here? All things were made through him. Without him was not anything made that was made. That implies if anything is going to happen, if anything is going to be a part of creation, if anything is going to exist, be observed, or be known, to be in existence, then it has to have been created through the word. And if there is nothing that ever exists unless it has been made by the word, then that means I won't concern myself with any other means or process of trying to bring things to be, if the word is sufficient to create it. The first sentence says the word is necessary to create it. All things were made through him. But the second sentence is saying the word is sufficient to create anything. It says, without him was not anything made that was made. For any of us who have had any experience in logic and in philosophy, mathematics, or any subject of that such, you would know what I mean by necessary and sufficient. So let me break it down. To be necessary means that, well, it is one of the things that has to be in place for it to happen, for something to happen. So all things were made through the word means the word is one of the things that have to be in place before anything can be made. But it doesn't mean it is the only thing that has to be in place. It means just one of the things. So that means that something could be created with the word and two, three, four, five other factors. But it is sufficient means it is the only thing that has to be in place, and nothing else can be in place to create. So without him was not anything made means the word is the only thing that has to be in place. Oh, your physical actions? No, they don't have to be in place. But you see the world all over, they're on that question of what can I do? What should I do to make creation happen? That's not true. Because nothing else has to be in place but the word. Nothing is made that was made except by him. So without him was not anything made that was made. So that means it has to be in place, and only it has to be in place before anything can be created. Now we consider that this message is coming to us that God and his word are the same substance, and therefore all creation are made from the one substance that we call God. And if God and his word are one, and we've seen earlier that the word became you and dwells in you, and that is who you truly are, then you are the creative substance from which you're making everything in this world. May I repeat that? You are the creative substance from which you're making everything in this world. Your awareness of being is the one and only thing that you require to make and bring everything to be. You take your awareness and you want anything in this world, and this message is that, this lesson is that it is only the awareness that you have to mold it from. You call it forth from your own consciousness. Let me show you an example. When I want a certain result, I don't ask any person if they have great ideas on how I can achieve that result. I'll just call that result forth from my own consciousness. So recently, or I think last month's request, yes, from last month's request, someone placed a request with me where they would like to have their, I think their son or their brother, I've forgotten the relationship now, but they'd like to have a dear one, a loved one of them, back from some charges that were on that person. So they'd like to have that person back home. Okay, and they placed that request on me with me. And I just made it out of my consciousness. You see, all they said was, could you please have this done because I want this result. That's what it said. That's what is existent. But I took what is my own consciousness and created out of it a new substance or a new idea. Out of that substance of my consciousness, I heard them saying, oh, it is done, or that is, they got the result they wanted, exactly what they said they wanted. I heard them saying they have it. And that is what I did in my own consciousness. Having permitted myself to experience it in my consciousness, not theirs, not any other person's, but my consciousness. I didn't rely on their belief. I didn't rely on any other person's belief, but my belief. Then I told them, well, it is done, period. And I don't even remember it. But you've sent forth the word, and it is going to make what you've commanded it to make, what you've commanded out of yourself to make. And then they came back on this week and they said, oh, it's happened and this and that. I don't have to know how it happened, what went on or anything. But what I brought out of my own consciousness has become an objective fact. So the lesson is you don't ask anyone's permission. You want to test it, you are the only substance you're calling upon. And if we understand this, then we would see the reason why, if we're in doubt, nothing would happen. Why so? Because we have not given that wish to our own self in our own self. I am the one substance by which I am creating everything in this world. It's only a matter of what I'm aware of, what I'm placing my attention upon. If I can't give it to myself, if I can't make myself be self-assured that I have it, why do I think anything in this world is going to give it to me? And if I could give it to myself, well, we see that it is sufficient. Without him was not anything made that was made. So if I could give it to myself, then that is sufficient. And so if I doubt, I'm not giving it to myself. I'm going, I want to be financially free. Let's say that's the deal, that's the desire, that's the idea I want to externalize. I want to be financially free. Now, the challenge is make it out of my own consciousness. I'm the only substance that can become financial freedom, nothing else. So, can I be what I would be if I'm financially free? And then in my imagination, see that to be true and hear it. Okay, no one is saying anything, but can I hear it in my consciousness and hear someone saying, wow, you're financially free, and hear them saying it to me, and then respond to them in my consciousness. No one is saying the idea. I'm not trying to strategize 10 things to do to be financially wealthy or financially free, but I'm hearing it in my consciousness, saying in response to them, yes, I am. I'm a great example of financial freedom. And just keep it to that and make it out of my consciousness, that one substance, mold it. Can I do that? If a person is going to do that and exercise it, they are going to bring that particular condition into this physical world. And this statement is saying there is no other way by which they can bring it to happen physically except through this method or except through this process. All things are made through him. So that means I can use my imagination, I can use my consciousness and conceive that idea, that plan. By the way, when I conceive that, that is the word. That is the creative word of God. The statement of my friend was saying, wow, you're financially free. And my response to him, where I say, yes, I am. I am the example of financial freedom. And then I bring that in myself, that's me making it. But this statement is saying, if I don't do that, there is no other means. Action, yes. Waking up early, yes. Sleeping late, yes. Drinking habits, yes. Sleeping habits, yes. But none of them can bring that financial freedom to pass. And so we always come back to the beginning of creation because that's when we see the word being active with creating. But this beginning, in the beginning, it is not like the start of time or a point in time like some thousands or millions or billions of years ago. It actually refers to the creative moment. When you go to the book of Genesis 1, verse 1, that was the first verse that I memorized in the Bible. I remember in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But not until, well, I got my birthday gift, okay, from my darling queen. She bought me a Bible, the Revised Standard Version. And I opened it to read the very first verse. And it is, of course, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But there is now a footnote in it. And the footnote says, this particular line, in the beginning, God created, can be reread as when God began to create. And I thought, oh, really? That changes everything. And I actually did a little research on it and I saw that that's true. It is actually God began to create in the beginning, not in the beginning God created. So it's not a starting point in time, like historical time. It is a starting point in action. It refers to the moment, any moment, when man, as we've proven, God is man. So when man begins to put into effect the process of creation, that's what it's referring to. So what that means is right now is your beginning. If you want to change right now in your life, I don't care whatever it might be you have. I could remember the time when I slept in my father's room, in my room in my father's house, and I didn't know what to do with myself. And I was limited by all means, every evidence of it is pointing to me being limited. But I wanted to be free. And then I read this something from Neville, and it's all telling me I read this, I read that, I studied this, I studied that, and it's all saying the same thing. Just make it out in consciousness. But prior to then, I would try to do something. So I would read it, I would do something it says, then I would go back to trying to do some actions. But it said, just make it out in consciousness. And so I trusted it and I put it to practice. And that moment when I did it was my beginning. So wherever you are right now, the moment you decide you're going to create, you have stepped into the beginning. If you don't, nothing ever happens. So the beginning didn't happen so many years ago, or centuries ago, or years ago. The beginning is happening now when you choose, when you decide to wake up and take charge of your creation. So when God began to create the heavens and the earth, now it says the earth was without form and void, darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the wind was of God was moving over the face of the waters. And I intentionally use this word wind. So you realize that actually this is God, okay, moving his spirit over the face of the waters. And heaven here is not the sky, all right? This whole thing is not physical, it's psychological. Heaven is not the sky, heaven is our own consciousness, the reality that we can only experience within ourselves. And until something has been made in heaven, nothing can be made here on earth. So God dwells in heaven, our Father who art in heaven. And as he dwells in heaven, whatever he does in heaven is moving upon the earth. So the earth is this physical experience we are having. It doesn't mean the ground, it doesn't mean soil. It means this physical experience we are having. The events of life that are observable to your senses, that's your earth. So if you're going to describe your bank your bank balance and you'd say, well, my income is insufficient to carry my expenses, that's your earth. And if you'd change it, you don't change it by doing anything on the earth. You change it by changing your experience in consciousness, the heaven. Because your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That means the only thing that could happen on earth is what has been done in heaven. So in order to change an experience in this physical world, you change it by changing your experience within. Heaven is the reality, and that's where you manipulate, change, make a new form, create out of that substance. Heaven is within you, and earth is your physical experience. So you want to have more money than you can care to spend, then you make that up not on earth but in heaven. You don't try to follow some policies, try to follow some principles, try to follow some gurus or money making schemes. You make it out in your heaven, and then the earth is going to be rearranged. The wind of God was moving over the face of the waters. So what did he do? So he declared it as finished. He said, let there be light, and there was light. Now, let us look at this word, let there be. It doesn't mean he's asking someone's permission, or maybe he's trying to ask the earth to do it. No. The meaning of let there be actually is it becomes, it exists, it happens, or be done, or be finished. So when he said, let there be light, he's actually saying, light be done, or light be finished. It's saying light exists, or light happens, or light becomes. So God's creative word is the only sufficient substance to create, as we've established, and that word is your own consciousness, your awareness of being. That's God. That's his word. He is making it from his own self. So he did it in heaven. Let there be light. That's what he did in heaven. And then we found it on earth, and there was light. So earth, or the universe, is only infinite response. That's what Neville calls it. The universe is only infinite response. Response to what? To the creation that has been done in heaven. We exercise creativity from the depth of our being when we declare things to become, to exist, and when we declare things as being finished. So, not I will be rich. And I'm not speaking of things you're saying on your lips. I'm speaking of how you are aware of yourself in your consciousness. Are you aware, oh, I'll be rich tomorrow? Or are you aware now, I am rich? Are you thinking, well, after I have written this letter and I've sent this email, I will definitely have that contract? Or are you aware I have got the contract? Are you aware if only I am able to speak to him, then he's going to look at me and love me? Or are you aware I am happily married? That's the question. What are you being aware of? Who are you being? How do you form and mold yourself to be in consciousness? Because you are never the same person. You are never in the same state. When you are in this thinking, I want to be happy, that is not the same person as I am happy. I hope to be rich after I have sold 5,000 copies or 5,000 units. It's not the same as I am rich. Okay? So you go on to live in the end. You declare it as finished. That's God's creative word. That's how God's creative word works. It doesn't declare things that they will be. Because when you're declaring things that they will be, that's what's happening right now. Things will be. That's what's happening right now. But when you declare things that they are, then they are. So if I say I'll be rich, well then wake me up tomorrow, I'll still be rich. Wake me up the day after, I will still be rich. Wake me up 10,000 years after, well, I still will be rich. But the moment, the day I take it from there to I am rich, then wake me up just today, and then I am rich. Okay? So we don't, okay, I think I have a suggestion here. Yes. For example, say you're a coach and you would like to have great students, you would like to have a successful coaching career, you'd like to have all the success you want as a coach. Not you don't go, oh, let me find out the problems of people because when I sell things that are into the tune of the problems, then I'll be successful. That's not how it works. Because you still put in the actual success you want at the end of actions you think you will make. But we've seen here that nothing can be made except by the idea that it has been made itself. So it is not, oh, I'm going to find the problems of people, then I'll create the class that will match the problem and solve it, and then I'll be successful. No, not I'm going to create the best product and then go and find the students and then sell it to them. No. I remember a time in my life when I would go to people's messages and message them, people I don't know from anywhere, and then just drop them a message and go, oh, would you like to change your life and do this and do that? And so take this course. Okay. But I don't do that anymore from the day I know that I can simply make it out in my consciousness. So as a coach, for example, this is something you can do. You can mentally hear your students saying to you, I want to take your coaching. That's if you want them to approach you with, well, I want it. If you want them to approach you with, I'm happy that I'm in your class, then you simply mentally hear your students saying, I've signed up. Or mentally hear them saying, I have paid. Mentally hear them saying, I'm in. Mentally hear them saying, I have taken the first seat. I've taken the seat on the front row, on the first row. You don't try to go to them. You mentally hear them saying that it is done. Or for example, you want to create a fantastic coach, a fantastic program that will be relevant to people and that would satisfy them, that make them feel they have value for their money. Then you don't try to think of what to create. Could you go to the end of it? It looks ridiculous to a person who hasn't done it, But if you do it, you will test it and you prove that it works. Go to the end of it as if you've already created a fantastic course. And I mentally hear people saying, I took your course, it's fantastic. Because that's what you want, isn't it? You don't want to create a course that you are the only person who is going, yeah, my course is great. You want to create a course that people are telling you, your course is the greatest. Your program changed my life. When I took your program, I took the greatest investment in my life. But I'm using this example of coaching, but you all have various programs in your career. Maybe it's you're employed somewhere and then you're serving an employer. Then instead of trying to please the employer, hear the employer giving you the highest of praise you can summon in yourself. Because you're the only substance that is creating whatever your employer is saying. If your employer is saying that you're not doing a great job, it's not the employer saying it. You said it first in yourself. If you calm yourself down, you would see it that you've been mentally arguing with him, going, yeah, I'm not creating the best job, but is that not because you're not providing me with the facilities? Or is it not this? No, come on, drop all of that and then change it to hearing your employer saying just simple words. Wow, that's the best thing I've seen from some in performance. Oh wow, that's the greatest performance in this year. Oh really, you did that? That must be the most fantastic thing that has been done in this business. Oh, you created that? Well, really, that you outdid yourself this time. I'm totally impressed. Don't hear them saying it at the performance review at the end of the year. Hear them saying it right now. Hear them telling you, you see this bonus? This bonus is because of the contributions you've made in this month. By the way, that is you using the bonus as an implication that you have done an outstanding job. If you want the bonus itself, then hear them telling you, well, I just couldn't resist giving you a bonus, period. Make it out of the one substance that is called God. Okay? And that's it. So we'll be meeting next week again on this series, next week, Sunday. But at the same time, I would definitely invite you to join the groups coaching for April. It's 6 classes on Zoom like this, and with 21 days of imagination exercises. And of course, there are also replays available for the classes. So you are welcome to join. And the theme for April is developing your attention, developing the attention of your consciousness. Okay, because lots of us, we thought it happens by will, or that's what we've been thinking. But if you've studied Neville, if you've used your imagination, and whoever has done that can tell what I'm saying now is true by experience. That doesn't work by a lot of effort or concentrated attention or intense focus. That is a lot of willpower or effort. No, it works by intense attention, not um, efforted attention. And that's what we'll be learning how to do in this April, how to develop our attention. I will develop it and make it the greatest possible for creating anything that we want to create in our world. So you can join me then, and the link is adelereadditional.com. So until next week, we'll meet again. Thank you, everyone, and have a great time. Bye-bye.